It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show.
Fuck a little like think I'm out of plan. My mom 2 years, she gon' retire. My word is my bond. Understand me.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well out there this Monday. Hope the new week has started off good for you. And if it hasn't, I hope that it gets better as you go through it. All right. Now, y'all know we've spoken about this whole LaRussell situation. There's been a lot of talk through various platforms about this Heaven Sent record. Y'all also know that I've spoken about LaRussell quite a few times on my channel, and I've actually been one of his bigger supporters, at least in the talking head community, I will say. You know what I mean? I'm not somebody that's like a part of his good company gold card or anything like that. But I've definitely supported his music, talked about his album, and also encouraged others to do the same as it pertains to his goal of trying to sell 100,000 records independently with his latest album with Lil Jon. Last that I saw, I think it was somewhere in the 30 to 40,000 region. And right as that was taken off, he got hit with this controversy that he created for himself. You know, typically when an artist is at this level and the controversy comes, it's somebody waiting in the wings with a bad PR story. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't wait till he finally gets the attention on him so I could shit on him with this. But no, he literally manufactured this himself, right? The whole Heaven Sent thing was about him putting the song out with the caption that his engineer told him not to release it. So off the bat, it sparked people's curiosity to be like, damn, well, what is he talking about on this record that the engineer was trying to inform him not to put out to the people? Basically saying this is too real for the world, right? And lo and behold, we received the Heaven Sent record where he says, you know, that Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, heaven sent. The devil is heaven sent. Hitler is heaven sent. Epstein is heaven sent. Donald Trump, heaven sent. He catches backlash on social media. Everybody voices to him, hey, we think you've miscalculated this, right? Perhaps you should have listened to your engineer. Maybe he had your best interests at heart. But whatever the case may be, this is not what the people need right now, right? Especially with the climate in this world, especially with, you know, all of the crazy shit going on in society. Just not only a bad record, but also poor timing. And I'll take it a step further, a poor interpolation, because you also had the downbeat of Common's, I forget what song it was, but one of Common's classic records from the Beat album as the undertone of that shit when you performed it in front of a group of people. Just crazy. Don't leave Common out of it. When people took issue with it, a couple days later, LaRussell came out and shitted on everybody. Said y'all are stupid, slow, called people some retard. Y'all know I don't say the word, and I've noticed people trying to reintroduce this word into our lexicon, even though we have been left it behind. And just went on to lambast any and everybody who dared to speak against this particular song, right? And I think a lot of people initially were not against him as a person, as an artist, as an individual. People were just against the song. But as he continued to fight back and fight, I wouldn't even say fire, but he wanted to put fire on it. People then began to look at him as an individual and say, hey, man, you know, I don't think this is for me. You know, first I said the song wasn't for me, but now maybe you aren't for me at all. Right? So as all of this is taking shape, LaRussell then disappeared from social media, deactivated all his accounts. Some people were under the impression that he had blocked them, but somebody from his fan club came out and said, nah, y'all, LaRussell's not blocking y'all. He's actually taken down all of his pages. So from there, he did have an interview with Effective Immediately with DJ Head and Gina Views, where he continued to double, triple, and quadruple down on his stance, and tried to, you know, still give validity to the song and say that his intentions were in the right place. And if people didn't receive it that way, that was their fault. I can understand that sentiment, you know what I mean? But at the same time, trying to humanize literal oppressors, abusers, um, PDFs, and just general weirdos, mass murderers, I don't think that's the hill you should want to die on. I don't give a fuck what it is that's going on. But it got worse. I'm going to play a portion of that interview with Gina Views and DJ Head, by the way. But it got worse. So as LaRussell's taking his hits online and deciding to disappear, I received word that LaRussell had a rally that was, done out in Vallejo in his community in the Bay, which was organized by his mother. Now, I'm not here to disrespect his mom. She has nothing to do with any of this. She didn't write the damn song, but she did, however, organize a rally where people in the locale decided to take to the streets to show their public support for LaRussell because they didn't like the way that he was being treated online. I don't feel like he was being treated any specific type of way. People were just giving him pushback on something that he released, which is part of the artistic experience. I don't know any major artist who's released something that has not been shitted on, that has not been corrected, at least at some point in their career. And you could go from the top down. Every artist has done or said something that the public didn't feel right about. Right? I know everybody's a huge Kendrick Lamar fan, but I remember when the Black of the Berry came out and niggas jammed that shit, and then there was a whole slew of people who came behind that song and wanted to correct him and say, we will not accept these respectability politics. I was not one of those people, by the way, but I saw it. You know what I'm saying? So it don't matter who you are. However, they decided we're not going to stand for this. So in the midst of this rally taking place, his business partner, Tieta, actually came out and released a video as well, explaining why LaRussell will not be returning to social media and basically trying to turn the mirror on the audience to say, this is y'all's fault. Y'all didn't want to use y'all brains. Therefore, y'all have now turned your backs on somebody who actually wanted to stand up for the community. The very community that he proceeded to call mentally delayed. Blatantly. Let's get to it. So here we actually have footage from the rally in his local area. Dozens of Vallejoans marched today to support rapper LaRussell.
March for LaRussell, we rallied for him because his mom told us to come out here. And I think that's what people are upset with LaRussell the most about, is that he said that everybody was created by the same hands, which are God's, but they didn't want to hear Epstein or Jeffrey Dahmer or any of those people. So that's why they're angry. I mean, but I know the word.
I feel like what he said, you gotta listen to what he said. You feel me? Like, he told no lie. We all did come from God.
No, he said he was speaking positivity, man. Basically, letting everybody know we all creatures of God. You know what I'm saying? And that's all he said.
The internet is not a real place, but this is real. The love is real. The community support is real. That's why he
Do you think there's any valid criticisms of his bars?
No, because if you understand biblical sense, you understand. Because we're all heaven sent, but we're not all heaven bound.
Oh, man. That's the same quote from LaRussell's Twitter. We're all heaven sent, but we're not heaven bound. So, unfortunately, as this man is wearing an I Love Jesus hat, he has taken his I Love Jesus and following Jesus and decided to follow man, as in LaRussell. Now, understand, I'm not against LaRussell in any capacity. You know what I mean? Even before I said I don't regret supporting dude or promoting this movement because I felt like he had something good going. I mean, there was a reason why he was selected to be a part of the Super Bowl tailgate and chose the house band for the Super Bowl, the whole shit. You know, I like what he had going on. But it's just very interesting how a little bit of pushback from the public can make you go from 0 to 1200 real quick. You know what I'm saying? And that part of it I do not like. I can't blindly support anybody, especially if I wouldn't do that for somebody I personally know, let alone somebody I've never met in my life. You know what I mean? Now, supporting LaRussell does not mean that you know, you have to agree with his every word. And that's something that I've preached on my platform about any and every artist. There's, you know what I mean? Like, it just comes with it. Not agreeing doesn't mean you hate them. To say that there's no valid criticism, which this young man right here said, he said he didn't believe that there was any valid criticism based on his knowledge of the word. I think you're gravely misrepresenting the word. But we shall continue.
They want an apology from him. That's all it's about. Accountability and an apology.
You think he's gonna do that?
No, I don't.
Accountability is biblical. The act of repentance is the ultimate accountability. If you can't be humble enough to do that, what are we talking about? And why are we perverting the word of God in the process? I'm not even here to preach. My goodness, that is not what I came here for today. This is ridiculous. Look at this shirt. It says, I support LaRussell. I'm from the Bay. Haters gonna hate. So now everybody has been relegated to haters rather than people who just wanted the best for you to say, hey, bro, maybe you shouldn't stand so firmly on this particular stance. You could come back another day and put some other ideas forth that we may fuck with, but this one is just not working.
I don't think he ever should, because we get to say what we want to say, bro. Yeah, we got to pay for it, but we got to pay for it with God, not with another human being.
He had his freedom of speech, ma'am. That's why he wrote that song. He did what he did. He released it like he released it, and that was his freedom of speech. Have a good day.
So apparently this was covered by the Vallejo Sun. I'm guessing that's a local news out there. It's unfortunate, man. Now, shout out to the people that support him, that showed up, because I don't think that, I don't think that's a bad thing. I just don't think this is the best thing for LaRussell at this particular time. I don't think that the lesson that was placed within this whole tribulation he's facing, I don't think he's actually learning the lesson. That's also biblical. So then we have his business partner, Tieta Mitchell. Now I'm covering her caption on IG, but it says, job well done. These are my thoughts on the situation. You don't have to agree, but you don't have to comment hateful things. Now, I did not see anything necessarily hateful about LaRussell being spread regarding this situation. I saw a lot of people that disagreed. I saw a lot of people that didn't support, but I didn't see anything that was inherently hateful. Not to say that they didn't receive any of that, because I'm not on the receiving end of those messages and comments. But she then says, you can disagree and keep scrolling. Now that part I have to disagree with, ironically, because this idea that you should disagree with something and keep scrolling rather than speak on it is the actual opposite of what LaRussell has represented. LaRussell is very outspoken. He's very opinionated, and he drops music damn near daily, drops content daily. Nothing about him is keep scrolling. It's let's talk about it. When Roc Nation came and offered him that first deal that he felt was not representative of what he deserved, he went right on his platform and talked about it, went on multiple podcasts and talked about it. He disagreed, and he indeed did not keep scrolling. So now this notion that you should not say anything that opposes what he has to say, I think is very problematic. And I do not understand how we got here. I honestly do not understand how we got here. And that's just reading the caption. There's a whole video expounding upon it.
Isn't coming back to social media. And I don't think it's fair that people get to run with these crazy stories and outlandish remarks about him, and he's choosing to stay silent. I have a platform, and so I'm choosing to say something. These are my opinions. These are my views on the whole LaRussell outrage situation. I've been watching. I've been seeing all of the comments, even from niggas we know, and I've gathered them all, and I would like to just kind of break down the situation based on how I see it. And
shout out to Iman Europe and Dame MEC, by the way. Never met Iman, but I personally do fuck with Dame. Saw them on that screen. She said people that we know. So apparently they don't like what those two individuals had to say.
I have notes. If you see me looking down, I have notes because I really wanted to get this right. This is going to be a long video. The LaRussell outrage boils down to these things. He used the word heaven sent wrong. Even if you understood what he meant, you feel as if it's tone deaf and insensitive to even say. His response to the criticism was wrong, and ultimately he just needs to apologize. But LaRussell explained what he meant in the song continuously. And to that you say, but he used the word wrong. But you know what he meant, right? Like, you understood what he meant, which is what he was banking on, that the context clues and people with critical thinking skills would be able to hear the song and still understand what it meant.
I could possibly go with that theory, but I can only go with that theory if y'all are willing to come out and say that the engineer that told him he shouldn't put the song out never existed. Right? Because why was the engineer moved enough to tell him not to put the song out or encourage him not to put the song out? Because clearly he understood that it would cause some level of confusion, outrage, or something along those lines if this engineer exists or if this conversation ever happened. And why did he go against that better judgment? That somebody who is in his circle that fuck with him, that actually has his fingerprint on all of his music, has to say. And in hip hop, yes, we may not always say the right term, and it's also implied like, okay, you can use context clues to understand what somebody means. But let's be clear, this is still a linguistic art form. Usage of words is 1000% the job. Usage of words is the very reason you have a following. It's the reason you get paid. It's the reason why you get to go and perform in front of people, is because of your usage of words. Words mean things. And when people say, hey man, you said heaven sent, but created by God does not mean heaven sent. Here, let's look at the word heaven sent. And you say, okay, thanks for correcting me, but you know what I meant. One could easily say, no, I don't, because you used your words incorrectly. You know what I mean? Like, and we didn't ever have to get here. I think that's the main thing. It's like we never had to be here. Now, do I think LaRussell should have apologized and bowed to his knees and kissed the feet of anybody? No, personally, I don't. But I think he probably, when the heat came, instead of releasing the video and doing this and doing another video and doing an interview and fighting, I don't think he should have even deactivated his social media. I think he should have just stayed quiet for a week, just chilled out, let people say what they had to say, and came back with the next joint to divert people's attention. Some people would have said, hey, nigga, I ain't forgot. But if you got heat, most people will move forward with the heat. I just think this is a prime example of when the ego takes control, personally.
And to everybody who went into the dictionary and wanted to be like, oh, well, that's not what the word heaven sent means. Clearly, he doesn't know what it means. If you look up, matter of fact, I'm gonna put the little clip right here. So I Googled it to help y'all out. Heaven dash sent is the standard adjective spelling, whereas heaven space sent is a common variation, sometimes interpreted as, quote, sent from heaven. To that you'll say, well, I understood what he was saying, but it was
Nah, we're not gonna play semantics. We're not gonna do that. Heaven sent is typically used in terms of something that is coming at the opportune time, sent from God. I was down bad. This showed up right when I needed it. This was heaven sent. This person interceded into my life. It was heaven sent. Not created from God, as in like life itself, but more so in terms of relief. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know why y'all want to continue to play in people's faces. You know what I'm saying? Like, for those of us that knew y'all, we liked you. But when you try to go to these types of lengths, it makes people resent you. And I honestly don't think that it had to get to this point.
tone deaf and insensitive to humanize these monsters, to humanize these humans, which was the point of the video. Not to humanize the monsters, but to remind you that they are in fact human.
That is not nothing that people did not know. We know evil motherfuckers are human. The point is to put them in this. It don't even fucking matter, man. It does not matter. Nobody wants to hear a rap saying that Jeffrey Epstein was sent from heaven, knowing what he carried out. Nobody wants to hear that Hitler was sent from heaven, knowing what he carried out. Because now you're basically, when you put it in those terms, you then put yourself at risk of saying, well, if they're sent from heaven, were their actions also sent from heaven? Was it their life's mission before they were even created to do these things? And to think that we would even have to entertain such bullshit jargon just to try to understand a song that should have never been released, that's being disingenuous on y'all's part. And this is coming from somebody who supported y'all movement, man. I don't like this.
That this type of evil, this type of sickness isn't some faraway thing. The point of the message was to remind you that each and every one of us has a decision to be made while we're on this earth. And that evil is not some faraway thing. It is something that is much closer to you than any one of us want to realize. It's in your community. It's in your household. It's in your uncles. It's in your cousins. And the point of the message was to remind you to choose wisely while you're on this earth, because we all come from the same place. Even you. You are heaven sent. Yeah, well, that's fake deep. We all already knew that. So why say it? It's insensitive to the people. And yeah. Everything that y'all are saying on like why he's not allowed to speak his mind. But he's allowed to speak his mind. He's allowed to make art that he chooses to make. We don't get to decide what other people think, say, and feel.
In the same way that you're advocating for LaRussell to say we don't get to decide what other people think, say, and feel, is also valid on the reciprocal side of it when the public has things to say, think, and feel regarding his art. Everybody is not, so we don't have to like it. We don't have to accept it. We don't have to just let it fly. Now, do I think that LaRussell should have a hate campaign leveraged against him? No, I do not. Do I think he should be canceled? No, I do not. Do I think he should be living in fear or sitting under a fucking bunker because he said this shit in his little song? No. But y'all are going way too far with this pushback for some shit that never really needed to be. Damn, man. Now, before we go, let's just see this little segment of his effective immediately interview.
The heavensent conversation. Do you regret anything that you've done with the song, the performance,
Not
from
at
the
all.
beginning, not listening to your engineer?
Not at all.
The way that you responded,
Not at all.
the way that you've been handling it this whole time.
Not at all.
No regrets at all.
None.
Do you think you've said anything wrong?
No.
Is there somebody in your life that will hit you and call and like be like, "Hey, you tripping"?
The engineer.
Well, no, I'm talking about.
If I'm really tripping,
Yeah. What did that person have to say about this?
These niggas stupid.
These niggas stupid.
Yep.
You got another person?
It's fake outrage. I can make whatever art comes to me. Anybody who makes music, at a level where you really rapping about something, not just bullshit.
I hate to say it, man, but this is very akin to Kanye isms. I hope he can get a hold of himself. I'm not saying he's gonna turn into that. I honestly hope he doesn't. And I think that there's stronger convictions that you could be standing on that wouldn't inspire all of this. But this is the hill.
But rapping about life, and as an artist, it's our job to put art out into the world, however that may come. I don't have to change my art because it makes you uncomfortable.
Was there a time where throughout this process where you were like, maybe if I said it this way, they would understand what I'm saying? And then the second part to that question is, do you understand where other people are coming from?
No,
Okay.
because
Tell everything.
when I said free Palestine, there was people who was offended. Am I supposed to apologize to them? When I made 20 shots and I talk about them niggas killing Stevante Clark and shooting him 20 times.
We're likening this song to Free Palestine.
It's people who's offended. I'm supposed to apologize. It's my art. If I maliciously meant to hurt you, and it's like, damn, that was a miss on my end. Like, I could recognize when it is. Like, with the Wayne shit, it was like, damn, I could see how that is.
I used to think like when I say stuff, I don't own none of the responsibility if I say something my intention is not malicious. And then I had to learn like, oh, these is human beings. They have feelings and emotions and stuff like that. So I understand that when you add the biblical nuance to it, because now you impeding on their core values. Do you get that perspective or
No, because I feel like that shit be fake.
I agree with
Like
you.
all the niggas I
sometimes.
see talking, oh, these core values, and we don't believe this. It's like, bro, we see what your homies on. We see what your uncle's on. We see what your cousin's on. We see what's on your playlist.
Your caption said, my engineer told me not to put this out. That comes off as arrogant. And like you said, this is art with all due respect. As a rapper, I don't think you did a well job of setting up the bar, if that makes sense. The first thing that people was going to is, oh shit, he said Epstein? And then you mix Epstein in the box with Malcolm X, Martin Luther King.
Martin,
and then you said, and even you, like, and Hitler, like, I'm like Hitler and Epstein. Now, I'm not a rapper either, but I am into like rap and battle rap. Fab said, never trust shit. Even the devil was an angel. Obviously, he not telling us that an angel and the devil is, it's the same person. So I think that if you delivered it in a different way and you set it up differently, then people would have been able to more so relate to it.
Yeah, and I feel that, but it's my art, and maybe somebody else could deliver it differently. Right? If you had a child, that's heaven sent, correct? Was all them niggas not a child?
The children are heaven sent, but the monsters is the devil.
That has nothing to do with God. What you do after I place you here is within your free will. That's what you become. The world gets you.
Have you talked to your engineer about this?
That's funny as fuck.
Yeah, that engineer day. I want to shout him out.
Ray.
Hey, shout
out Ray.
Hey,
Ray.
What's heaven sent?
Shout out my engineer, but it's some other niggas engineers who really need to step up and say something. It's
Y'all don't listen.
Yeah, that's true.
You right.
Even the engineer was heaven sent, and you ignored him. All right, man. Now, I've seen LaRussell come out multiple times, and he said that he doesn't enjoy being a topic, right? He's been an independent artist for a very long time, something that I can relate to. He's put his blood, sweat, and tears, heart and soul into his craft. For him to even be somebody that we know or talk about at this point, there's been a lot that he invested into himself. And I, again, can relate to that. But I just think, man, at a certain point, you gotta be able to accept wise counsel from people, especially those in your camp. And this whole situation could have been avoided. It never needed to get this big. It never needed to see the light of day. Every song you make is not supposed to be heard. Every line you rap in a song may not need to be heard. And I say that as somebody who's had dope ass records that I've said some lines and been like, I can't put this out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna do myself and the world a favor to not even have to explain this shit, because I don't know what the fuck was on my mind when I wrote this shit. I was just being creative and said some shit because it made sense at the time. But you got to be able to revise and improvise and make the best decision, especially if you want to be in the world of entertainment. This isn't therapy, you know what I'm saying? We're not just gonna accept any thought because you have it and it's human. This is not that. All right? Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider. I do wish homeboy the best. And you know, just grow from it. That's all I could really say. See y'all in a minute though. Peace.
Family over fame in this bitch, yeah. The glory of living righteous is setting in. My street knowledge and education's a perfect blend. Young mogul, independent, I've been setting trends. The first one from my family to be faithfully wed. Fuck niggas and the horses that they riding on. I see this shit from all angles like a polygon. I'm never politicking, the drama be piling on. Father and great son acknowledged like I'm Bobby Bonds. Conversation with my lady about the paper route. 5 sit bank accounts, every day I make it count. They down talking my commentary for hating now. Well, I can take it cause I'm bodying your favorite now, please. I can do this shit in my sleep. I been writing for these niggas, y'all read it and weep. I been fighting these niggas if you speak on the street. I'll turn your birthday party into New Year's Eve. Don't let me take it there. We ain't playing fair. This the ATL, Southside nigga moving furniture like Wayfair. Life on hold, no insurance for your healthcare. Lifeline gone, so you wanna be a millionaire? Well, let me tell you about this world I built. The women I dodged, the niggas that I read for filth. The sympathy calls, consulting for the stakes I built. I had to evolve.